working on GMetrix Word Core Skills Review 1. The first task wants us to go ahead and create a document from a template. So we'll click File, New. Up here in the search online, we'll go ahead and type in Report Design. Hit Enter for it to start searching. And then what you want to do is to go ahead and scroll through here until you find it. And it's this one right here. From here, you want to go ahead and save the document. We'll click File, Save As. What you want to do is map to your GMetrix templates folder. We'll call it Sample. Click Save. Task 2 wants us to go ahead and add the predefined Sample 2 watermark to the document. So what we want to do is go to the Design tab here at the top in the page background. We're going to go ahead and click the watermark drop down. And you want to scroll through this list until you find Sample 2. Task 3 wants us to go ahead and use the Find and Replace. We're on the Home tab. In the Editing group, we'll click Replace. We're going to go ahead and type in Australia. And we'll type in Canada as the replace word. So it's looking for Australia. We're going to replace with Canada. And what we'll do is click Replace All. Click OK. And then we can click Close. Task 4 wants us to go ahead and apply the Arial font to the paragraph with confidential information. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and scroll in so we can see it a little bit better. And what we're going to do is just select this paragraph here. And on the Home tab in the font group, we'll go ahead and select Arial. Task 5 wants us to go ahead and create a left indent to the paragraph with confidential information paragraph. So what we'll do is we'll put our cursor here in this paragraph, and what we'll do is we'll go to the Home tab paragraph group dialog box, and there are a few ways to do this, but in the indentation group for left, we'll go ahead and select 1 and hit Tab, and we'll click OK. Task 6 wants us to go ahead and apply a double line spacing to the entire document. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and put our cursor here in the document. We'll select Control A, and then from here, what we want to do is we'll go to the Home paragraph group dialog box, and line spacing, we'll just go ahead and select double. And there are a few ways to do this, but that one's probably the easiest. Task 7 wants us to go ahead and put a hyperlink on the text Fusion Tomo Incorporated. We'll go ahead and zoom in to this first paragraph, and that text is right here. From here, what we want to do is after we've selected that text, click Insert here at the top and click Hyperlink in the links group. And then what we want to do is select existing file or web page, and then down here just type in www.fusiontomo.com, and we'll click OK. Task 8 wants us to go ahead and insert a table into the second page 2 of this document. So what we'll do is we'll click in here, we'll scroll in to see this, and then we'll go to page 2. And it says that it wants us to put it in between the first 2 paragraphs. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll put our cursor in between those 2. And then on the Insert tab here at the top in the Tables group, it says 3 by 4. And that table's in there. And then it wants us to go ahead and change the style. So we'll go ahead and select that. With that, we have the Table Tools Design here at the top. And we're looking for List Table. So we'll scroll down to the List Tables group. And we're looking for List Table 1 Accent 3. Make sure that you hover and make sure that the names match. Task 9 wants us to go ahead and insert an image and then apply an effect to it. So what we'll do is we'll scroll in to this document. We'll go to the second page, and it tells us that it wants us to apply it after the second paragraph on page 2. So we'll put our cursor here at the end of that paragraph. We'll click Insert Pictures. And what we'll want to do is map to our GMetrix templates folder. We'll select oranges. And then what it wants us to do is to go ahead and select the artistic effect line drawing. So in the Adjust group, we'll click this drop down, and I believe it's this one. If you're not sure, make sure you hover. Task 10 wants us to go ahead and apply a left tab stop to our 2 yellow sections. Let's go ahead and zoom into this document so we can put our cursor here in this yellow section. And it wants us to put our first left tab stop at the 1-inch mark. So this is the left tab here in the left-hand corner. If it doesn't show that symbol, make sure you click it until you see that left tab. And then all we want to do is actually just click here at the 1 inch, and it's hard to see, but that same symbol that's here is here. And what that means now is that if I put my cursor in front of the A and I hit the tab key on my keyboard, notice it went ahead and pushed it over to the right 1 inch. And I need to go ahead and do it for the second yellow part. And so I just need to put my cursor there again and select 1 again, and then do the same. Hit tab on the keyboard. Task 11 wants us to go ahead and add 2 words to our autocorrect settings. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click File, Options. We'll go ahead and select Proofing. And then in the autocorrect options, we'll click autocorrect options here. We want to click exceptions. And we're on the first letter tab. What we want to do is first is Fusion Tomo. We'll go ahead and type it. Make sure you capitalize the T. And we'll click add. And the second word it wants us to add is black bread. We'll click add. Click OK. OK. Shrink this screen so we can click OK. Task 12 wants us to go ahead and insert 2 continuous section breaks, and then it wants us to go ahead and change the margins of that section. So let's go ahead and zoom in on our document. The first place we want to do put the continuous section break is before this yellow section. So we'll put our cursor at the very beginning of A, and then what we want to do is go to the layout tab here at the top in the page group or page setup. We'll click the breaks drop down and we'll select continuous. Now, if you can't see anything, which you can on mine, it has been placed. You just want to go to the paragraph group and click paragraph show hide. And notice it shows that continuous section break here. The other place that we want to put it is on the right after the second yellow section. So we'll put our cursor here right before in consideration. And we'll do the same thing. Page setup, breaks, continuous. And again, if you don't have that show hide mark, you won't see these lines showing you the breaks. We'll go ahead and put our cursor here in for the second part, which wants us to do is change the margins here to moderate. So we're on the layout here in the page setup group still, and we'll click moderate. Notice it went ahead and it changed the margins there. Task 13 wants us to go ahead and prevent a page break in the final paragraph by keeping the lines together. So what we want to do is we'll go ahead and zoom in to see this a little bit better. We want to select our final paragraph and click and highlight everything until the bottom of that paragraph, which ends on page 2. With that selection, we're going to go ahead and on the home tab and the paragraph dialog box, we'll click that open. And what you want to do is if it doesn't go here, you want to go to line and page breaks. And you just want to go ahead and click the box that says keep lines together. We'll click OK. And notice it went ahead and pushed that paragraph down. Task 14 wants us to go ahead and sort the data in this table. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the document and we'll go ahead and select our table. With that selection, we now have Table Tools Design here at the top and Layout. You want to be in the Layout tab, and we want to go ahead and in the data click Sort. And what we want to do is not country, but tons of apples, and we want to select descending. We'll click OK. Task 15 wants us to go ahead and insert a text box into this document. Doesn't really matter where, you just want to make sure you put it in the first page. What we want to do is go to the Insert tab here at the top, and in the text group, we want to select Text Box drop-down. And then we want to scroll through this list until we find Motion, Quote, and then we just want to type this text. Make sure you type the period. Task 16 wants us to go ahead and make this list a table. So let's go ahead and scroll in. We'll select our range here, this list. And what we want to do is go to the Insert tab here at the top in the Tables group, click Convert Text to Table. And if this doesn't say to here, you've either selected this space here or this space at the bottom. And we want to go ahead and auto-fit the contents. So we'll check this here and we'll click OK. Task 17 wants us to go ahead and change the bullets in Objective 1.1. So let's go ahead and scroll in on this page. And what we'll do is select the bullets here. Notice how that's highlighted. And what we want to do is change it from the type of bullet it is to the check marks. So with all of those selected, I can click that and notice the change. Task 18 wants us to go ahead and add numbering to this page. So what we want to do is go ahead and select confidential information paragraph, and the last general provisions, and we don't have to select all of the text. It does tell us to exclude this sign by, so if you just end on this page, you should be good. On the Home tab, it does tell us which numbering it wants, so we'll click the drop down for numbers, and it wants the number with parentheses here. Task 19 wants us to go ahead and select the yellow text here, so we'll scroll in, and what it wants us to do is select it and then move it into 2 columns and then put a line in between. So what we want to do is select that text. We'll click layout here. In the page group, we'll click columns. What we want to do is click more columns, and the reason being is because we'll select 2 here at the top and we want to add that line. So we'll click that line button and click OK. Task 20 wants us to go ahead and change the position of the footer at the bottom of the document. There are a few ways to do that. My favorite way to get to the footers is double click in the footer. And when we double click here, we get the header and footer tools design tab. And then we just want to change the position of the footer here from 0.5 to 0.4. And then we can close our header and footer. Task 21 wants us to go ahead and apply a table of contents to this document. So with our cursor where it's at, all the way at the top, we want to go to references here and the table of contents. We want to go ahead and click this drop down, and we'll go ahead and click the custom table of contents, and in the general formats we just want to go ahead and select formal, and 3 levels is what we want. Click OK.
We are working on GMetrix Word Skills Review 1. Task 22 wants us to display the continuous line numbers for this document. What we want to do is go to the Layout tab here at the top, and in the Page Setup group, we want to go to Line Numbers and click Continuous.
Task 23 wants us to go ahead and insert page number at the bottom of each document. So we'll go to the Insert tab here at the top, and what we want to do is page numbering in the header and footer group. And we do want it at the bottom of the page, and it tells us plain number 3. We'll go ahead and double click out of the footer, or you could hit close here. Task 24 wants us to go ahead and apply the parchment fill effect to this document. What we want to do is go to the Design tab here at the top. In the Page Background group, we'll click Page Color drop down, and you want to select Fill Effects. From here, you want to go ahead and select Texture at the top. And this one's a little bit different than the other ones. If you hover, it won't say anything. What you need to do is actually click one of the tiles, and then it'll tell you what it's called. You want to click around until you find the parchment. We'll click OK. Task 25 wants us to go ahead and demote one of the bullets in this document, and specifically it's the last item. So we'll go ahead and put our cursor here in the last bulleted item, and it wants us to push it in. So we actually just want to click the increase indent here, and this is on the Home tab in the paragraph group, and notice it went ahead and pushed it over to the right. Task 26 wants us to go ahead and encrypt our document and gives us a password. So we'll click File, and the Protect document, we'll go ahead and click Encrypt with Password, and we'll type in Starship. Click OK, and then we need to go ahead and type that in again. Click out of our Backstage view. Task 27 wants us to go ahead and find the words 2 months in the terms paragraph. So we'll go ahead and select that text here. Don't select too much like I just did. We'll click the Review tab here at the top, click New Comment, and then it wants us to add the text 2 years, question mark. We'll go ahead and click out of our comment to set that. Task 28 wants us to go ahead and view this document in outline view. So what we'll do is we'll click View at the top, we'll click Outline, and then what it wants us to do is go ahead and delete the outline part of business development. So we'll go ahead and select that and just click the delete key on our keyboard. Task 29 wants us to go ahead and export this document to a PDF. So we'll click File, Export. Make sure this is selected, Create PDF, XPS document. We'll go ahead and select that. And you want to make sure you get to your GMetrix templates folder. And it tells us to keep the name Word 05. Make sure that PDF is selected here. Make sure this is not selected, Open File after publishing, and we'll go ahead and click Publish. Task 30 wants us to go ahead and go to our bookmark named Quote. So we'll click Find here, click Advanced Find. We'll click the Go To, and we'll click Bookmark quote is what we want. We'll click go to. And then we can close out of that now that we're here in that text. Notice it's here. And it wants us to create a right indent of 1 inch. So with our cursor there, we'll go ahead and click the paragraph dialog box, and that's on the home tab right here. And we'll change the right to 1, and we'll click OK. Task 31 wants us to go ahead and put our cursor in the 3rd paragraph on page 1, and it wants us to add a before spacing of 12 points. So we'll go ahead and go to the layout tab here at the top, and we'll change this 0 to 12. We'll go ahead and hit tab or enter. Task 32 wants us to go ahead and apply a hanging indent to the 3rd paragraph. So we'll go ahead and put our cursor in that text. We're on the home tab in the paragraph group. We'll click the paragraph dialog box here. In the indentation special, we want to change this to hanging indent, and we want to change that to 1 inch. We'll click tab. We'll click OK. Task 33 wants us to go ahead and apply 12-point spacing after paragraph 4. So what we want to do is scroll down on page 1, and our actual 4th paragraph is the starting long quotations. So we'll put our cursor here in that text, and what we want to do is go to the layout tab here at the top, and after we'll key in 12 and hit enter. Task 34 wants us to go ahead and apply the confidential 1 watermark to this document. What we want to do is go to the design tab here at the top, and in the page background, we'll click the watermark drop down, and we just want to select confidential 1. Task 35 wants us to go ahead and insert the Austin header into this document. So we'll click insert here at the top in the header and footer group. We'll click the header drop down. We'll go ahead and select Austin. And what we want to do is actually replace this text here and type in Fusion Tomo Inc. Make sure you key in the period, and then we'll go ahead and close out of the header and footer. Task 36 wants us to go ahead and create a new document from a template. So we'll click File, New. Here we'll go ahead and type in Business Report, and we'll search for that. And specifically, we're looking for the median theme. So we'll go ahead and click that, click Create. And then in here, for the title, it tells us to go ahead and call it Fusion Tomo. And the subtitle is going to be Annual Report. Go ahead and click out of that. Task 37 wants us to go ahead and remove the header on page 2. Now, you want to go ahead and click in page 2 first before you do anything. And there are a few ways to do this, but we'll go to the Insert tab here at the top, and the header and footer group. We'll go ahead and click the header, and then click Remove Header. Task 38 wants us to go ahead and draw a horizontal line shape, and then we're going to go ahead and set it to 100% relative to the margin. So let's go ahead and scroll down to the bottom of this document. We'll click the Insert tab here at the top, Shapes, and you can dig through the lines, but it's right here for me. I'm going to go ahead and just draw the line. And what I want to do is right click it now and click More Layout Options, Size, and in the width, we'll go ahead and select 100% tab and click OK. Task 39 wants us to go ahead and insert SmartArt at the end of the document. So we'll go ahead and scroll through this document and put our cursor underneath that last paragraph. From here, we'll click Insert at the top. In the Illustrations group, we'll click SmartArt. What we want to do is insert a process, and specifically it's the basic process. So we'll select that. And from here, we want to make sure we have the SmartArt Tools Design tab selected, and in the SmartArt styles, we want the subtle effect. So we'll go ahead and hover until we find that one. Task 40 wants us to go ahead and insert a page break before the market analysis summary. So we'll go ahead and scroll down until we find that. We'll put our cursor here right before that text. We'll go to the Layout tab here at the top, and in the breaks, we'll click Page. Task 41 wants us to go ahead and select this image here, and we're going to change the brightness and the contrast. So with that image selected, we have Picture Tools Format at the top, and in the Adjust group, we'll click Corrections. And what you want is a brightness of 40 and a contrast of negative 40%. Task 42 wants us to go ahead and select this text box right here. What it wants us to do is to save that in the Quick Parts gallery. So we're going to go ahead and click the Insert tab here at the top after selecting that text box. We're going to be in the text group. We're going to click the Quick Parts drop down. What we want to do is click Save Selection. We'll go ahead and call this Signature. In the gallery, we'll go ahead and select text boxes, and we'll click OK. Task 43 wants us to go ahead and apply a colored outline to this text box, so we'll go ahead and select that here, which brings up the Drawing Tools Format tab here at the top. And what we want is in the shape styles, and it's actually this one right here, Colored Outline Blue Accent 1. Make sure you hover if you're not sure. Task 44 wants us to go ahead and select the last sentence in the first paragraph. So we'll go ahead and make that selection. And then what it wants us to do is go ahead and add a comment. So we'll click the Review tab here at the top. We'll click New Comment, and we'll go ahead and just type Remove. We'll go ahead and click out of that comment. Task 45 wants us to go ahead and check this document for spelling and grammar. So we'll click the Review tab here at the top. We're in the Proofing group. We'll click Spelling and Grammar. And we'll go ahead and make the change to that and that. Click OK. Task 46 wants us to go ahead and remove the marked grammar errors as you type. This is going to be found on the File options. We're going to go ahead and select Proofing here. And under When Correcting Spelling and Grammar in Word, we'll uncheck Marked Grammar Errors as you type. We'll go ahead and click OK. Task 47 wants us to add an endnote to the quotation here on page 2 right afterwards. So we'll put our cursor there at the end, and what we want to do is go to the References tab here at the top, and it's asking for an endnote, so we'll go ahead and select Insert Endnote, and then what you want to do is type in me, capital M, space 2010. Make sure you add the comma as well. Click out of it. Task 48 wants us to go ahead and go to section 4.3, and it wants us to go ahead and just delete this entire section. Once we've deleted that, it wants us to go back to the table of contents and go ahead and what we'll do is right click and click Update Field. Task 49 wants us to go ahead and add a caption to this chart right here. So we'll go ahead and select it. We'll right click and we'll click Insert Caption. You could have also done this from the References tab here at the top. And we wanted to say Figure 1 and then Finances. And we want to make sure that we position it below. And it's already marked that way, so we'll click OK. Task 50 wants us to go ahead and add a table of contents to the beginning of the document. So our cursor's already there. We'll go to the References tab here at the top. We'll click Table of Contents. And this is going to be a built-in one, and it just wants the automatic table one, so we'll select that. Task 51 wants us to go ahead and save this file as a PDF. We're not going to change the name, so we'll click File. And you can do Save As, but we'll click Export here. We'll select the Create PDF XPS document. Make sure you're in your GMetrix templates folder. Here in the Save Type, make sure it says PDF. We're not changing the name, but it also tells us to make sure that it's not open or it doesn't open after publishing. So we'll leave that unchecked. We'll click Publish. Task 52 wants us to go ahead and go to the options. So we'll click File, Options, and in the options what we're going to do is change the save configuration to embed fonts in the file, and it says embed only the characters used in this document. So we'll go ahead and select that. We'll click OK. Task 53 wants us to go ahead and add a footer, so we'll click Insert here at the top, and the header and footer group. We'll select Footer dropdown, and what it wants us to do is to look for the wisp. So we'll scroll all the way down until we find that. We'll go ahead and close. Task 54 wants us to go ahead and add the emphasis paragraph style right below the heading 1.2 mission. So we'll go ahead and select that text, And what we want to do is over here on the Home tab in the Styles group, we'll go ahead and click this More drop down, and we're looking for emphasis. So we'll go ahead and select that here. Task 55 wants us to go ahead and add a background color and a page box. So we'll click the Design tab here at the top, and let's go ahead and change the color first. We're in the page background group, and it's looking for Ice Blue Accent 2. So we'll go ahead and it's this one. And then we want to also select page border. We'll select box, click OK. Task 56 wants us to go ahead and create a document using a template. So we'll click File, New. Here in the top, we'll go ahead and type in letter, and we'll type in origin just to narrow our search. Hit enter. Go ahead and do this. And it tells us to go ahead and type the salutation. So we'll go ahead and type in the text below. Task 57 wants us to mark this document as final. We'll click File here at the top, and then Protect Document. We'll click Mark as Final. We'll click OK. Exit out of the Backstage view. Task 58 wants us to go ahead and apply the print layout view to this document. So we'll click View here at the top, and we'll select Print Layout.